Patients that I deal with, I've been telling them, you may want to check this out.
You have beautifully illustrated why the human and the machine need to work together.
People can access information more rapidly to make more informed decisions about their health in collaborations with a doctor.
So what you just saw is really real.
It's far superior than Dr. Google.
Yeah, I couldn't have asked for that to go better. Folks, we did not plan this in advance. Rick, you're a doctor, and you've been contemplating use of and the impact of artificial intelligence in the medical professions. Tell us what you do, and just tell us a little bit about why you think AI might be important.
Well, I'm a retired professor of family medicine, but I'm still doing clinical practice in integrative medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the studies looking at how many unanswered questions does the average family doctor have during the course of the day, it's quite considerable. They don't have time to look these things up. And there's been some remarkable resources developed, such as Dynamed, UpToDate, but they're not quick to get to the information that you need. So I see and actually the UpToDate is going to be out of date with AI because it's not going to be able to facilitate rapid information that you need at the point of care. It takes too long, and you have to do it after the encounter, not during the encounter. So where I see the greatest potential is as AI gets more sophisticated, particularly in the medical domain, where it's already looking over the medical literature. Mm-hmm. Except I can't say how good it is, but I've gone to the references and seen them, and it does a pretty good job. Having said that, AI is just a research assistant that you have to double check. But having said that, it's far superior than Dr. Google. And patients are going to, the patients that I deal with, I've been telling them, you may want to check this out because it might help you find information more quickly than going to Dr. Google, which has a lot of information that's commercial in nature and of dubious quality. So I see this as a brave new frontier of information management where people can access information more rapidly to make more informed decisions about their health in collaborations with a doctor.
Sometimes what I see is the elephant in the room is people fear that somehow these artificially intelligent agents are going to come in and replace your doctor. I just don't see that. And I thought it would be good to maybe look at, it's like, well, why is that true? Why is it? Because I think that's true. It is definitely not going to happen. There's always going to be a patient-doctor relationship. And now we may have this extra little thing on our shoulder here, this artificial intelligence. Exactly. But tell me, why do you think, from real practice, like that you think that's not happening?
Well, I think the fear is completely out of proportion to the reality of it. Where I think there's justified concerns, though, is looking at the quality of the data that's provided. I mean, in my own professional training and training of physicians, I train them in critical appraisal skills, which is a very disciplined way of looking at the quality of evidence. Now, having said that, there's lots of resources out there where you can go to and look at the access this information. But it still takes time to navigate it. Where I see AI being beneficial is that you can pose a specific question. It will go to those information. It will be much more rapid than you can do it yourself. Now, you've got to have checks and balances in this. And there's no doubt that it's going to completely transform the delivery of healthcare. And even just very quickly, one other thing is when people come in, they ask me a question, that's interesting. That product, I don't even know what it is, they're taking. I can go and look at it, check it out, and then, at least become more informed that can be iteratively learned over time. So
fascinating. So as the physician, you're willing, right? You're open-minded enough, you're willing to go to the artificial intelligence, assume you've got an appropriate one that's made for task, and say, this person told me they're taking weight gain 4,000, right? From South Park. What the heck is that? Now, normally you just wouldn't have time to do that.
It takes too much time. Absolutely. So,
but if you can if you're like, hey, my AI, can you tell me what this weight gain 4,000 is, and why would one of my patients take it? And then you're right that maybe you're right there with the patient. I mean, they could hear.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, there are some. there are some resources that already have that, so
Mhm.
I go to them, but it still takes time to navigate them. So where I think some of these platforms that already have pre-existing information, when they have, if they can augment it with AI to save me time having to read a lot of stuff to find out where's the good stuff, you know,
Yeah.
but it's inquiry driven so that you can focus in more quickly on the question you're asking for. You still have to double check it, but it'll be much quicker than just going through the usual sort of platform where this information is available.
I have an idea. I want to show you something. So I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
share my screen here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to anyway. Entire screen. And here we go. Let me know. Do you see a blank? Should be pretty blank.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yep.
great. So what we have here is just this is I don't believe you've seen this. There's a new model that just came out. I haven't even used it. You know what? I'm not a doctor. It's not made for me. It's called Metatron. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Metatron can be installed on your local environment. This is just my laptop. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
the cloud. I'm not going to ChatGPT,
All right.
nothing like
Uh-huh.
that. So I have something installed here called Olama. I'm going to make this a little bigger. There you go.
Okay,
I
good.
have something here
Okay.
called Olama, and I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
list my models. I have
Mm-hmm.
Dolphin 2.2 Mistral, Llama 2 Uncensored,
Mm-hmm.
Metatron, which I just installed yesterday, and Mistral. Now, if I
Mm-hmm.
want to interact with this particular AI, then I'm just going to say, "Oh Llama, run Metatron." Now, it is loading the model into my computer's memory. It's the same computer I'm using to process this show
Mm-hmm.
right now,
Right.
actually. And you'll notice it looks just fine, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, hi, what are you good for? So let's just ask it. I'm good for helping you. Please, please
Mm-hmm.
ask me a question. Okay, so from a medical practice point of view, this is Metatron is a large language model of approximately, I want to say 7 billion parameters that's supposedly trained on medical research.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's a good question you might ask such a model?
Well, I'll give you one that I just recently, and I was trying to update myself on the different forms of vitamin D, no, B12 supplements, and what are the different ways of using it, um, and what are the current recommendations for vitamin B12 supplementation for different ages?
Okay, so I started this out with what are the different forms of B12 supplements. Again, folks, this is Meditron, Meditron. I'll put a link in the description so you can go check this thing out yourself and see what it was
Mm-hmm.
actually trained on. We're not going to get into that so much here, Rick,
Hmm.
but it
Okay,
says
that's
here
fine.
that there are 3 different forms of B12 supplements: tablets, pills, injections. That seems a
Yeah,
little
well,
odd.
well, actually, it needs to be a little bit more detailed because
Yep.
there's different types of B12
Okay.
as well as
Okay.
tablets and pills.
Different types. Can you outline those? Again, I have no idea what Metatron knows. This is literally, I saved this just for you and me to play
Okay,
with it live here, first time
okay.
ever. So
Hmm.
let's see. There are 2 types of supplements, active and inactive. Active B12 supplements contain the full vitamin B12 molecule. Inactive ones do not. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it needs to drill down into the chemical formulations and the ways in which they're absorbed.
Okay. Let's see what it can do. So I'm finding this very terse and
Yeah.
not entirely useful. So this is one of the first open source models to be released. It's proposed to purports to be trained on significant swaths of medical literature.
Yeah.
So the active form of B12 is cyanocobalamin.
Well,
Balamin,
yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
and your body can make red. Inactive supplements are called. Okay, so maybe that's useful.
Well, actually, there's a methyl formulation of it. So, I mean, what I would take from this is that this is a begin. I've
Mhm.
used I went to Perplexity AI to answer this question and see if there was anything new.
Yeah.
And I did find some new things there, particularly about. Actually, you could ask it, what is the current recommendation for vitamin B12 supplements for people over the age of 65? I'll be curious to know what it says there.
I have no idea. Like,
No, I'm saying,
one
but
of,
I mean, these
one
are
of the
sort of
things I
questions.
thought would be one of the things I thought would be genuinely fun in doing these particular types of videos
Yeah,
is to
yeah,
literally not prepare. So like, because this is what everybody has to go through. You
oh,
don't know
absolutely,
anything until you play, until you try,
exactly,
and I don't want
exactly.
people to be scared by that. So I'll put the links
No,
to
no,
Llama. I'll put the links to Metatron in the database. Anybody with a Mac can download this and play with these models exactly like you're seeing us do right now.
yeah,
So let's see.
okay.
What is the current recommendation for vitamin B12 supplements uh,
For people over the age of
for
65.
people over the age of 65? Okay. Is to take a vitamin B12 supplement every day. And there are different opinions about how much is needed. What
Okay.
are those opinions? Well, it's certainly not being overly verbose, right?
Yeah,
ChatGPT has a tendency to go on and on and on.
yeah, yeah,
This one is a little bit the opposite, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, what I would suggest, there needs to be two functionality where you have a pointed question where you want something, but also a more expansive one. So
Hmm.
I would hope they would build that into the capabilities where you have a very specific convergent question, and then something that's more detail.
I wonder, some of these models are capable of taking direction. Like, so if I ask it, can you give more details with your answers?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, well, that is more detail. It gave an actual dose.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. 3
Mm-hmm.
micrograms per day for men and women over the age of 65.
Yeah. Then I would ask them to give the citations for that recommendation. I mean, that's what Perplexity AI does. When it makes a statement, it'll link it to an article.
So this is based on a study by the National Institutes of Health that was published in 1983.
Yeah, that's a bit
So
out of date.
yeah, so that's a lot. All right, so super
Yeah,
interesting. I think we
yeah,
can call that one there. But now the other
yeah.
thing I was thinking, Rick, and this came from just one of our friendly phone calls we had a little bit recently, is we have this possibility now of making these things called GPTs, and you can see
Mm-hmm.
here a list of the GPTs I've made. I've made one called Co-author, Purpose Genie, Text Analyzer, and these
Mm-hmm.
are super interesting. But you can make all the GPTs you want, and there's been this vision for a really long time that we'll say the patient slash consumer in this case would be able to build up a model effectively of themselves over time that would help mediate a relationship between themselves and a physician who knows how to
Mm-hmm.
actually interpret that data.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just yesterday I discovered that there's something called the Lucy format where
Mm-hmm.
medical like Kaiser is who I was looking at. So
Mm-hmm.
Kaiser now provides a link to through their website that you can click on to download in your entire history, every single little thing, and I mean every little thing that you've done at Kaiser is in that file, and it comes in a special format, an XML format.
Mm-hmm.
They call that the
Mm-hmm.
Lucy format.
Mm-hmm.
It occurred to me, I'm not going to do this because there's still some privacy and issues around with this. I'd rather do this with a local model like the one I was just sharing with you. But I could theoretically come here, go to Explore, create a GPT, configure,
Mm-hmm.
upload my Lucy data right in to this GPT,
Mm-hmm.
and then have effectively trained ChatGPT on me. Now, theoretically, I can do that in a secure way right now, as long as I keep that GPT private only to me and I do not publish that link publicly, who would want to do that anyway? But
Right.
the reality is, you can check a little button. You've got to go. Let me see if I can even show you this. There's an advanced. You know what? It's not even showing up down here right now. There's. I think it shows up when you upload files. Maybe there's an
Mm-hmm.
advanced function where you can tell it that do not include my data in your
Mm-hmm.
training data. So for future
Yeah.
versions of
Yeah.
ChatGPT, and
Mm-hmm.
you obviously want to click that if you're doing something like this. But
Mm-hmm.
in this case, that would be interesting, right? Because every time a patient came to see you, you could take your summaries, your lab results, your everything, especially in a functional. You said you didn't say functional medicine. You said
Integrated medicine. Yeah.
integrative
Mm-hmm.
medicine.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
which I think that's a whole other conversation that I would love to
Mm-hmm.
have, because I've been reading a book by Lee Hood
Mm-hmm.
about the future of medicine using genotype, phenotype, and daily activity data. But that'd be another conversation for another day.
It
But
would.
it seems to me that you could build a model up over time, subject to HIPAA regulation rules, of your patient, and then you could feed your results into them in near real time. And then you have this amazing assistant that would do what you're talking about. It would almost act like a time machine. It would give you, for every
Exactly.
minute you have with a patient, you'd get an hour of value. I think AI can
Yeah.
do that.
Well, I'll give you an example. One of the things that happens when I go to see a patient is that you have to review things, and you have to change screens. You have to look at the labs. You have to do this and look at various things. What it should be doing, which it's not, it should actually be giving a succinct summary of what needs to be done. I shouldn't be wasting my time trying to search. When was the last time they had a vitamin D line? Was it low? Whatever. Just give me all the abnormal results that are most recent. A summary of potential drug interactions. I mean, it should just be automatic. So it
Yeah,
means so that before I go in to see a patient, it sort of primed me. Oh, did you realize the vitamin D3 level? I mean, vitamin D was low 7 months ago, and it would prompt me to check whether they took the vitamin D3. I mean, those sort of things.
exactly. See, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So you don't, there's not like a small forgetting, right? That could really
Uh,
matter to someone's
exactly.
outcome, and it's nobody's fault when that happens. It's just
No, no. It's
so much
just too
information.
much information. Yeah. I
That's
mean,
exactly
yeah.
right. Yeah.
You know.
There's
I mean,
yeah, exactly. Sorry, please.
no, no, no. I'm just excited about the opportunity of saying, "Hey, cut out my scut work so I can deal with patients."
Exactly. And that's the same thing. I was telling you a story before we turned on the recording about my sister as a teacher and how
Mhm.
I basically showed her that by using artificial intelligence, she just got a team of like a million people to work with her and help her do a great job with
Yeah,
her
exactly,
students.
exactly.
And I
Yeah.
just I think that's true of most of the professions, right?
Hmm.
And you and I both have a passion for education. I think we'll have
Hmm.
another discussion about that as
Yeah.
well, and how artificial intelligence can be incredibly impactful there. I want to show you another thing. I don't know if you've seen this. One of the things I want to do with this series is when I have someone like I have you today in the medical profession, I want to show you a tool. So you mentioned perplexity. I'm quite familiar with that. I'm going to show you something called cognosis. Have you heard of that?
Hmm. Ring a bell. Yeah, just
Yeah.
it's ringing. Remind
Yeah.
me.
So
I'll tell you if I don't, but it
yeah.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, so this is Cognosis, and it's new, and and you'll notice I'm on the free plan, and they have a very generous free plan. So this is super easy for anybody to try out. Nothing I'm going to show here should be
Hmm.
scary or out of touch for anybody. So if I
Hmm.
click new, and then I come over
Yeah.
here, then let's see, I can get this out of the way. Yes. So let's go back to the vitamin D. I need all the latest information possible on vitamin D in patients. I'm even going to use a medical term, right? Patients over the age of 65. I need details. Okay. So that's it. That's all I'm going to say. Now watch what happens here. Now it may take a second, so we might have to talk a little bit to cover it up,
Hmm.
but it
Yeah.
is building a plan to
Hmm.
satisfy what I've asked for. Oh, okay. Now it's come
Hmm.
back and said, I need more information. So I'm going to work with you to get this. So let's see. Rick, do you have any preferences for geographical location of the patients, specific or any?
Well, I'll put Pacific. And you
Okay.
could put North Carolina. It should probably take a difference between the season as well, whether it's winter or summertime. I don't know if it
Yeah,
will.
for sure. Yeah, I live here in kind of the middle of California. They call it Northern California, but we don't really have winter so much here.
Hmm.
So when I
Hmm.
lived east in Kentucky, I used to get seasonal
Hmm.
affective disorder, like mild, but
Hmm.
it was real. I could
Hmm.
really feel it. So that's for sure.
Hmm.
It was almost certainly a vitamin D issue because I found it years later when I did my genome. I found out that I have an issue that makes it
Hmm.
so that I don't produce quite as much vitamin D as I need. So,
Ah,
are you
yeah.
looking for information from scientific articles only, or would you also like clinical trial data?
Um, I'd include clinical trials.
Okay, so let's click continue. So now what it's
Hmm.
going to do is we didn't give it enough information. It asked us for more, and now it's going to make a plan. This
Hmm.
plan is we're going to read it and decide if it's okay.
Hmm.
So step
Okay.
one, conduct a comprehensive web search about vitamin D in patients over 65. Fine. Conduct a web search for clinical trials. Fine. provide a detailed summary of the latest information on vitamin D. Okay. And then cross
Mm-hmm.
verify. That's interesting, right? Cross verify.
Ooh, that is good.
I know. Now
That's
I'm going to
great.
add one
Yeah.
more. I happen to have used this a few times. So
Okay.
create a final, well formatted summary report of all findings. Okay. Because I
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to have something at the end that's nice
Mm-hmm.
and packageable and downloadable.
Mm-hmm.
And I tend to use those reports as inputs to further research and reference with other AIs, not Cognosis. So let's save those changes.
Mm-hmm.
And now what it's going to want to do is, well, now we have a plan, and so we're going
Mm-hmm.
to run it. Now I've been having some occasional failures on this service. I think they're in demand, and also you may know that OpenAI, which I think this partially depends on,
Mm-hmm.
has grown from 0 to 180 million monthly active users in about a year. So
Wow.
it's kind of a miracle it works at all.
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but
That's
I'm going to go ahead and click
yeah.
start, and we're going to
Okay.
see hopefully. So you'll see what it's doing now is it's using web search, and this part is just kind of unbelievable. It has gone and created all of these sort of like keywords, if you will,
Yeah.
from the
Mm-hmm.
information we gave it. It
Yeah.
composed that. Then it's
Yeah.
gone out and it's read 19 sources
Yep.
on all these places,
Yep.
and we can see them all. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know about you, but it would take me a little while to get through all of that,
Yeah.
but it's
Mm-hmm.
doing it right now. And now it's summarizing the key information cross reference between all of those sources on vitamin D over patients over 65.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's going to focus on, it says, bone health, immune function, and mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will tell you, while we're kind of waiting for this thing to unfold,
Mm-hmm.
I just did one of these on Bitcoin. I just did one of these on another thing coming out of OpenAI called Q Star. I did
Mm-hmm.
one of these on broad scale landscape regeneration. I mean, I'm doing these reports like this in a similar fashion all the time. They save
Mm-hmm.
me hours, Ray.
Hours. Oh, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
well, let's see what we learned about bone health. And you're the doctor, so you got to tell me if, but I think this looks pretty solid.
Yeah. Yeah. What I would do is maybe cut and paste and send it to me or send me the link and I can go over it
Oh,
because
I'll
I
send
think,
you the link as we go
yeah,
through.
yeah,
But
that's fine.
what I want you to see is that it footnotes everything. These
Mm-hmm.
footnotes are back to these
To these
articles,
articles. I
and
know.
and
I've
and each
yeah.
and we get one section for each step of the plan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if we go on down, there's 10 more sources. Let's see. No, sorry. Here's the next step. So it made new keywords,
Mm-hmm.
and it did 10 more sources. You'll see these are
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
So now, how many have we done? 20, 20. Okay, so we're at 20, and this one's going over bone health, immune function, mental health. It's still running, and so we'll just sort of keep
Yeah, that's
thinking.
fine. Yeah. Yeah,
But
that's fine.
but I've used a lot of tools. I think these
Mm-hmm.
folks have nailed what's called autonomous agent research, and I would be quite surprised if after this call you didn't go and set up a Cognosis account and give this thing a go, because I think they
Yeah.
let you do something like 20 or more searches per month right now.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, they're going to
Yeah.
probably
Capitalized.
not do
Yeah.
that. But they're
Yeah. Yeah.
they're obviously learning too. Now we're getting some duplication here, but it's continuing to focus on the same
Yeah.
area.
Themes. Yeah.
Right now, it's getting into the cross verification. So it's going to try to take everything it's learned so far from over 20
Mm-hmm.
sources, two summaries. What it does behind the scenes, Rick, is it drops all that down into a data structure, and
Mm-hmm.
then it uses that data structure to kind of iterate over from
Yeah.
another AI looking at
Mm-hmm.
that, and it's doing it. The power is that it's doing this iterative over time. You can do this in Chat GPT. It's hard because you have to keep track of all the data, and you have to know
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
chain of
Mm-hmm.
thought, reasoning, and prompting are. And there's a lot of little details and things. They're just obfuscating all that away for you. So now
That's
it's
it.
gone
Great.
through, let's see, in our cross referencing, it's considered 20 sources. That's a lot. And by the way, you get links to all of these. So like you can
Mm-hmm.
just click those and go. And now it's writing a full summary. So let's see what we've learned. Let's see. Vitamin D is an essential nutrient, of course. Many groups are at heightened risk. We did tell it to focus on older
Over the six.
adult.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. There it is. Look. Oops. Sorry for the jumping around there. It says, oh, vitamin D plus calcium is proven an effective combination for reducing fracture rates and falls.
Well, actually, I'll pick up on that one actually, because there is an issue, and it depends on what type of calcium. The oral calcium supplements for women are no longer, and it'd be interesting to put that into the hopper actually, are not recommended because it actually increases the risk of heart
Cardiovascular.
attack,
Yeah,
by about 10,
cardiovascular.
yes,
Yeah.
10, 15%. So it has to be natural calcium. But,
Oh, okay.
I
So
mean,
like
you have to take, you don't want to take a calcium tablet because you peak on a high level. And when that happens, it actually creates a sort of slightly hypercoagulability state, which can then predispose to heart attacks and strokes.
brilliant.
So,
Brilliant. So prescribe lots of leafy greens.
well, you can get it in lots of different ways. I mean, there's calcium in soy milk,
Yeah.
almond milk, I already have a design thing about recommendation about bone health and how to take calcium, which I share with
Nice.
patients.
So check this out. The formatted summary report. Remember, we added that to our
Yeah.
plan, and so it's written this almost like a report, right? Something that
Yeah.
you might
Yeah.
publish. And so it's gone through bone health, immune function, mental health. It has gone and put all the footnotes in for us
Yeah.
and completed
Well,
the test. Now, this part is the kicker I really want to show you. Continue
okay.
the conversation. So I want to take what you've just said about calcium,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to say, we're going to try to trick it, okay? We're not going
Okay.
to give
Okay.
it the answer.
No.
So
Okay.
is
Is it recommended to take calcium supplements in
supplement
women? In women.
in women
Yeah.
over?
No, you don't have to. You have to go over 65. You want
Okay.
to just keep it open. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So now what are we doing? We're talking with the research that we've done in the
Mm-hmm.
context of a large language model that has information
Mm-hmm.
about the world, but is heavily biased now to use the information from this research.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Okay. We got an answer. Okay. I'm just going to leave this up so we can read it. I don't want to read all that. So it is still sticking to.
Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah.
So this is a case. You
Yeah.
have beautifully illustrated why the human and the machine need to work together.
Exactly. You always have to double check. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I couldn't have asked for that to go better. I didn't, folks. We did not plan this in advance, so what you just saw is really real, and I hope that you appreciate that, and I'm really grateful, Rick, that you were brave and willing to do something like that. So thank you.